Our next speakers are Madalina Fron, who is actually the recipient of the Best Student Technology Award.
Oh, really? Thank you.
And
Completely
also, yes,
expected.
and we also have Fardad Maghsoudi, and their talk is entitled Intelligent iRODS and Data Management Assistant Chatbot Dizzy.
Thank you so much. Good morning. I'm gonna take the lead on the first sessions, and then Madalina go through the technical parts, and then we're gonna have also a demo to show you. So we're gonna start with some disclaimers in the beginning because we always have to do it. Otherwise, we're gonna get a lot of bombarded questions like, "Oh, this is not working. This is wrong." So in the beginning, we claimed that, okay, this is not a perfect chatbot at the moment. And even if it's a perfect chatbot, it still has its own errors. And of course, we always value experts to validate it, like other chatbots as well. And the main purpose is to assist data stewards, researchers, and students, and not replacing them. By that I mean that it's not going to write a data management plan or does completely iRODS coding for you. It's just going to support you how to do it and how you can achieve your goal. And based on TU-Dev policy, we respect a lot of ethical standards, personal privacy regulations, and what we have asked to do from TU-Dev is that no data should be shared with third party and externals. So everything you ask, anything you do, gonna stay within the TU-Dev, and no data goes beyond TU-Dev. We also support open science and fair, and that's why we are using an open source LLM model, Ministral, and the codes are available on GitHub, also like iRODS that supports open science and fair principles. We also have a lot of concerning people about the energy usage of disease, so we also try to optimize it to follow the green campus goals of producing less heat and using less electricity. And beyond that, it was a knowledge development program that I think helped a lot of us in the university to know more about LLMs and how they work and get out of the dark era of, oh, this is a black box and we don't know what is happening inside. We value any positive feedback, and if you have a negative feedback, just please say to me privately. So we start with the necessity and why we decide to start with Dizzy. So we have people from different backgrounds, different knowledge levels, and some of them are quite good with programming, some of them are not very good. And we thought that everybody when we say iRODS, everybody, the first thing comes to their mind is like black and white terminal. Oh, what a scary environment. What should we do? How should we not mess up with the data? What happens if we lose the data? So it's okay, well, let's remove this fear in part and help others to enjoy commanding, like enjoy using Python or other programming languages. And we know that there are a lot of shortages in terms of number of employees who are using iRODS at UDEF, and also data stewards are little in comparison to the number of students, so it can help other purposes as well. And sometimes students ask questions that their answers should be quick and accurate. So that's another requirement. And we also have a lot of updates every day on news that, okay, well, this policy has been updated. And if a data steward miss it, then it's gonna cost a lot for the university by losing a grant or something. Yeah, and also there are a lot of safety consideration, like keeping the data inside and not going to ask the general question or anything related to research from ChatGPT or Llama or any other chatbots. So that was the main. These are the main reasons for making Dizzy at TU Delft. And we compare it with, well, let's say publicly available options. So the purpose is to just serve for data management, data science, and iRODS. Specifically, at the moment, it serves data management. So if you ask special, let's say, very advanced coding thing, it may not be help you because data stewards also modified it to handle ethical questions, policies, privacy, knowledge security content as well. And it's a dedicated for TU Delft. So it knows everything best about TU Delft. And on the other side, other chatbots may give you maybe outdated content. We use open source Ministral from Mistral. And about the safety, as we said, we don't track or we don't save anything locally. And about accessibility, it's beyond NetID. So it's only available for researchers of TU Delft. And here I can give the floor to Madalina.
Yes, thank you. Now, this diagram might look a bit busy, but I just want to walk you through it as a flow of information through the whole system and not something really, really technical. On the left side of the diagram, you can see Dizzy's knowledge sources, which are documents crawled from TU Delft's public website, iRODS information pages, as well as internal SharePoint content, and a set of EU and institutional PDFs covering GDPR, governance, and other AI regulations. And all of that raw content goes first through a cleaning and preparation phase, which turns into a numerical representation, which can then be understood by the model and stored in a vector database. When a user types a question, their query is matched against that knowledge base, and the most relevant text chunks are then retrieved to serve as a context to the user question. This context, combined with the base system prompts and the user query, go as input into the model itself, which is an in-house fine-tuned version of Ministral 3. And the model finally generates the response, which then passes through a validation step and then reaches the user. So the main point here is that nothing leaves the system. The model runs locally on our server's GPU, and you can see the specifications of that on the left side. And the data also always stays local. Let's also see how well it actually performs. The loss curves that you can see on the right side, both training and evaluation drop sharply and stabilize, which tells us that the model learned the content well, but without overfitting to the data it's been fine-tuned on. Then we run some quantitative evaluation metrics, which you can see in red. The two most relevant ones are the BERT score, F1 of 0.93, and the token accuracy of 0.94. And those are important because they confirm that the outputs of the model are both semantically close and often very close in wording to the reference material from the training data, which is exactly what we want for factual information in our answers. But besides these metrics, we also did a qualitative human evaluation with help from our data stewards from TU Delft. They asked questions from all sorts of topics that they have worked with, and then scored the answers across 5 different dimensions that you can see there, all scores turning out pretty high, thankfully. Let us also show you Dizzy in action now. Here, a user simply asks, what do you know about iRODS? And Dizzy responds with a structured, more TU Delft specific answer, but also mentioning integration with tools like DMP Online and iRODS' own metadata extension module. Next, when asked about more specific stuff like iCommands, it listed them correctly, and it also gave brief explanations of each, which is useful. Then we have another case where the user asks to generate generic SQL code, which is completely out of its usage area. And Dizzy gives quite a technical correct answer, but it declines to generate a full query without knowing the database schema. So it mentions the limitations and it doesn't hallucinate a full complete answer, which is great. After this, we have a more typical use case where a data steward or anyone would ask, how should I archive my data on the 4TU repository? And the kind of guidance that you see in the answer is what data stewards currently need to provide. which does not always entirely focus on iRODS. And this is why, for now, the model distributes the weight between topics more evenly. Afterwards, we have an example which tests this is ethical guardrails, and we can see that it refuses to answer and also explains why, because this would violate GDPR, TU Delft's data ownership principles, and intellectual property rights. And this is cool because besides being just good for lookup, it also reinforces the policies and the values that it's been trained on. And then we have a last example where the user sends a completely incoherent question, mixing math exam, sick neighbor, a lot of irrelevant stuff, but also mentions FAIR principles. And it's nice to see that it doesn't get confused here or try to answer all of the issues that the question had. It extracts the one thing that it can actually help with and only answers that part. So it's also quite robust to the noisy input that it's given.
Yeah, thank you so much. And for discussion part and somehow concluding is that, well, first of all, we need more iRODS content, because when I tried specifically for iRODS, I found the answers are vague, and we need more, maybe training material or introduction material or advanced material. I think I learned through the advanced training course, but somehow I need to feed them into the system. Also, we found out that the GPU is very important part of the system, because we try to use different sort of models. We started in Mistral, and Mistral failed, and the answers were taking almost around 40 seconds, 50 seconds to generate, because GPU was not helping us. So we needed to downgrade it to Mistral. So from 7 billion parameters, we decreased it to 3 billion. And yeah, we also criticized a lot by environmentalists in the university that, oh, this is a black box. Oh, this is producing heat. So we also needed to track the energy consumption and the heat consumption. You can see on in the graph, I mean, the table, how much Dizzy uses and produces the heat, and BTU stands for British Thermal Unit. And you can compare it, for instance, with refrigerator to see that, well, it's not that different. Yes, and we also consider a lot to not kill the creativity of the students in case it goes to this third phase, because we don't want students to just jump into Dizzy and say like, hey, how can I do this? We want them to first think, and if they really fail out, they don't know how to do it, then they can approach Dizzy for a hint, not even the complete answer. And as I said, we try to we want to have it on a secure spot, because that's why it's behind the NetID servers of TU Dev. But also we want to keep it fair, like iRODS, by keeping everything open. And as take-to-home message, of course, as I said, the performance really depending on not only the specification but also the context that provided. And the other output is that we learn a lot, also especially my colleagues at the Library of TU Delft, who have less LLM knowledge, now more about it. And well, of course, GPU is the most important thing. And I think in general, we have less fear now of using iRODS, especially for some people that already use it to use it as a command line platform for data management. For future developments, we have a few steps to go. So we're gonna make it Agentic Dizzy next year for a research data management course. So it's gonna help teachers and supervisors to just immediately get the answers and feedback of whatever students have felt in their data management. It's gonna be also like Olama as local machine setup, and later on also university has liked it a lot to expand it for other services, And we're also thinking ahead to make it a national scale project in the Netherlands. So if you have any ideas or anything else, please feel free to reach us. And these are the content you can find about Dizzy if you want to read more. And the QR code is a link to demo. So if you want to try it out now, you can scan the QR code and play with it. Feel free to report us bugs or issues you see. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the presentation. And yeah, I've studied at TU Delft and now working with iRODS. I'm really excited about this presentation. Now the question is regarding the material that you're training this model with. I understand that more or less the idea is to have like a knowledge base that is as accurate as possible. Can you tell us a bit more how this BERT metric is relevant in the easiest way possible, and how does it help to actually determine that the model is good enough for our purposes?
Yeah, Madalina, you want to go for the answer?
Yeah, I can take that question. So the BERT score looks compares the result that the model gave, the output, and the output of a certain question that we had in our golden Q&A set in the fine-tuning part, in the evaluation part. And it checks whether, not only whether the words in the answer exactly match what we had in the evaluation data set, but also if they are semantically similar. So it also takes into account synonyms of certain words. And that's why we know that if this score is high, it doesn't really only reproduce exactly the wording that it saw in the golden answers, but can also rephrase it in a similar way, keeping the factual information correct. Does that answer your question?
Yes, because there you clarify that you have like an evaluation
Yeah.
test set to actually evaluate. Okay. And the second question is regarding the guardrails, because you need that your model doesn't behave in unexpected or not wanted ways. Did you do anything specifically for that?
Can I also take that one?
Like about the optimization, you can say what kind of optimization we did.
Especially about the guardrails,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a very strict set of rules in the base prompt, and that should be hidden from the user, so they can't really take advantage of the rules that we gave it. But there are also some validation stages that we grade the answer based on before we give it to the user in real life. So we see, for example, some sets of keywords that it should not have in the answer and stuff like that. And we also have some questions in the actual training set which test the guardrails. So it learns what it should avoid to answer there. So there are multiple steps in the pipeline which take care of this for now.
All right, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Oh, we got another question?
Okay, this is a Slack question. Is it trained to do simple tasks like creating a user account, adding users to groups, et cetera?
Okay, if it's for iRODS, it should be in the system unless we have done some changes last week due to the request of data stewards to cover other topics as well, because the only storage option it was showing was iRODS, and they got frustrated that, oh, we also have OneDrive, we also have project drives and other stuff, so we have reduced the weight. If you ask specifically, it should be able to do.
All right.
Thank you very much.